Hello, I'm Emir. Today, I will analyze my player profile results together with two game examples. I will look at what my motivations are while playing games, what I look for in games, what I aim for, and how well these results fit me. First, let's briefly talk about the gamer profile test. The gamer profile test was created by Quantic Foundry. Thanks to this test, players can categorize their own profiles based on their answers. The test gives you one or two player classes. The first class I received is the Skirmisher class. In short, this class likes fast-paced games, small maps, team-based play, simple entry into the game, and games that don't require much thinking. The second class that test gave me is the Ninja class. In this class, players like overcoming the challenges created by the game through repeated attempts, enjoy improving their gameplay skills, find themselves in competition and feel satisfaction after overcoming difficulties. On the other hand, the test also gives you 6 main motivation categories, and under each main motivation there are 2 sub-motivation components. These main motivation categories are presented as action, immersion, creativity, social, mastery, and achievement. Now let's take a closer look at these categories and compare them using Call of Duty Black Ops 6. While analyzing this game, I will focus on the multiplayer mode. According to the test, my player profile is action-oriented, persistent, relaxed, social, grounded, and practical. The strongest side of Black Ops 6 is its action, pure combat, and the fast-paced, chaotic environment on small maps. My action score came out as 92%, which clearly shows that I like action in games. But let's also take a look at the sub-motivation components of action. Our first subcategory is excitement, and my score here is 83%. According to the test, those who score high in excitement like fast-paced, intense games with constant flow and completely spontaneous events. I can say that this result is quite consistent. One of the games that fits this component best is definitely Black Ops 6. The game has small maps, a fast movement system, and fast uncomplicated game modes that fit well with small maps. In this environment, you are either constantly killing or constantly being killed. Sometimes you can even explode into the air the second you respawn. According to the test, those who score high in distraction, like using equipment such as grenades, games with a wide variety of weapons, and constantly finding themselves in a chaotic environment. My score here is 93%, which again is very consistent. However, I should say that when I think about myself, it feels like excitement and destruction could swap places and it will be even more consistent. There isn't a big difference anyway, but I want you to note that I'm not usually the one who directly creates the chaos, but rather the one who finds himself in it and then continues it. Black Ops 6 offers you plenty of options to create this chaos. Grenades, many types of weapons, and score streaks you can use by getting kills in a row during the match. Another feature that comes with a being multiplayer FPS game is competition. This brings us to the social main motivation. People who score high in social motivation enjoy playing multiplayer games, communicating with other players, encountering them as teammates or opponents. In short, they enjoy multiplayer games. My score here is 78%. Compared to this percentage, I was expecting it to be a bit higher. Still, it's not a low number, and I think it's fair to say that someone with this percentage really likes multiplayer games. We can look at the subcomponents why the test gave me this score. The first subcomponent is competition. Players who score high in competition like competing with other players, playing PvP, grinding ranked systems, and trying to stay at high ranks. My score here is 79%, and I think the competition component is more accurate than the overall social motivation. I like competition and try to keep my rank high. but I never play 100% seriously in a tryhard way. I try to stay at a certain level. That said, I don't care about every game's rank system. For example, I never played ranked in Black Ops 6, but I care more about in games like CS2 or Dead by Daylight. The second subcomponent of social motivation is community. Those who score high here like teaming up with other players, hanging out on forums, meeting and talking with other players who love the game, and playing co-op games. I got 67% here. When new updates come to the game, whether it's buffs, nerfs or new weapons, I sometimes discuss them with others. I also add people from the game and play with them, and I check out the ideas of better content creators. I think 67% fits perfectly here. I may not go from forum to forum, but I do try to expand my circle within the games I play. We've come to the third main motivation, mastery. People who score high in mastery like challenging experiences that require thinking and have complex features. I got 25% here, which looks much lower compared to the other two motivations, right? However, the subcomponents make a big difference here. Challenge and strategy. Players who score high in strategy like planning, thinking, evaluating options, and taking things slowly. This component is only 3% for me. It's very consistent that it's low. I just didn't expect it to be this low. Still, I expected it to be low anyway. You don't make long plans in Black Ops 6. The longest tactical thing you do is opening your favorite content creator's video, copying their loadout, and then jumping into the game and just shooting. This also applies to the other game I'll mention when talking about the challenge component. You might think that since mastery and strategy are low, challenge would also be low, but no. On the contrary, it came out as 76%. Players who score high in challenge, like skill-based, practice-based games, they enjoy mastering the game, dying over and over and getting better, improving reflexes, playing on the hardest difficulty, or simply loving Souls games. This brings us to the second game I'll talk about, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Compared to the other Souls games, which have more magic and require more planning, Sekiro gives you only one sword and what you need to master is the pair system and the boss's movesets. You die a lot while doing this. But the satisfaction you get when you finally kill a boss is incredible. Let's move on to the fourth main motivation, achievement. Just like mastery, I didn't get a very high value here either. It came out as 27%. Players who score high in achievement like collecting rare items, leveling up their characters and making them stronger. I can say that this is generally consistent. Let me give an example when talking about the subcomponents. The first component here is completion, and my score is 17%. Players who score high in completion, like collecting all achievements, rewards and items in a game and finding all hidden locations. For me, what matters most in games is always the main story and main quests. Unless the reward is good, I don't really bother with side quests. In fact, if possible, I like finishing a game in one sitting. Even though I finished Sekiro twice, my achievement completion is still at 52%, which is low for a game that isn't very long, especially considering that it has 4 endings. Similarly, I played the campaign mode of Black Ops 6 and my completion percentage there is only 15%, including multiplayer achievements which I spent more time on. The other component in achievement motivation is power. Those who score high here like getting stronger items and maxing out their characters. This component can be seen in two ways. Some see it as collecting cosmetics, while others see it as pure power for their characters and weapons. I see it as a bit of both. In Black Ops 6 multiplayer, like in every Call of Duty, there are attachments you unlock by playing, such as magazines, scopes, grips, etc. And also weapon skins. You unlock these skins by completing game's challenges. And as you can see, I unlocked some of the skins. But I never made it to Dark Matter. At most, I reached Diamond on SMGs. At least for now. So having 56% in the power component seems very consistent. And the second to the last main motivation is creativity, which is also my lowest motivation overall, at just 8%. Players who score high here like exploring the world, researching, trying possibilities and changing the world in their own way without needing a reason, just wandering around. The first subcomponent here is discovery. These players play like testers, sometimes to find bugs, sometimes thinking maybe I'll find an Easter egg. My discovery score is 16%. Considering that the games I prefer are more linear, I think this is very consistent. Yes, Sekiro offers a small open world, but there isn't much you can do in it. At most, you might encounter one or two bosses you didn't meet before. The second component of creativity is design. Players who score high here like expressing their individuality, care about character creation, spend time customizing and designing, and don't rush. They care about how their spaceship or character looks. Based on what I've said so far, it's not surprising that this component is 12%. For example, in Black Ops 6 there is no character creation, just pre-made operators that you pick and jump into the game with. Similarly, on the Sekiro, there are only 3 skins that you can get. One of them is by completing the game, and the other one is by completing the Gauntlet of Strength, which takes guts to complete it. Even the games with character customization, I've never spent time customizing my character. Finally, we come to the last main motivation, the immersion. Players who like detailed stories, well-written backgrounds, memorable characters and emotional connection score high in immersion. My score here is 28%, which is much lower than I expected, because characters like Woods, Mason, Dragovich and Adler from older Call of Duty games and also in Black Ops 6 are still in my mind and really helped immerse me in the story mode, even though the story in Black Ops 6 isn't very good, except for a couple of missions. The subcomponents here are fantasy and story. Players who score high in fantasy like acting as someone else, exploring the world for fun, meeting and interacting with characters in the world. Those who score high in story like story-driven games with strong narratives and detailed characters, such as Uncharted, The Last of Us or BO6. My fantasy score is 37% and my story score is 26%. This is the part of the test I disagreed with the most. The stories and characters in the Call of Duty series have always interested me and drawn me in, including Black Ops 6 to some extent. I especially didn't expect story to be this low. Even though I also like competition and multiplayer games, stories have always played an important role for me. However, I can't say the same for fantasy. I've never really warmed up to RPG games unless they have very good combat. Instead of acting as someone else, I prefer playing a well-written, pre-designed character. In conclusion, apart from a few exceptions, we can say that the gamer profile test is generally consistent for me. Thank you for listening and for taking the time. This is the end of the video.
Cover me. Taking the objective.
They're taking C.